In this video, we're going to upgrade the solution to .NET 5. If you already created your solution in .NET 5, you'll probably be okay and can skip the lesson, although it might be useful to still watch. I tried using the Upgrade Assistant from Microsoft and it did not work, so we're going to have to do this manually. The first step is going to be to install .NET 5, in case you haven't already done that. The way you do that is start Visual Studio Installer. Click on the Modify for Visual Studio Community 2019 or whichever version of Visual Studio you're using. Click on the individual components, and under .NET, look for .NET 5.0 Runtime. If it's not checked, just check that, and you'll click the Install button down here in the lower right, and that will install .NET 5 for you. The next step, we're going to back up the current code. So go to your directory where you have the game, and what I'm going to do is just rename this directory. Since we're doing this manually, we're going to create a new solution with new projects, and then we're going to copy over almost all the files from the old projects into the new ones. Now start up Visual Studio and click Create New Project. In your search criteria over here, if you want to find the project a little quicker, you can put in C# for the language and type in WPF in the search criteria, and you want to look for WPF application, a project for creating a .NET Core WPF application. You don't want this .NET framework, that's the old version, and Microsoft considers .NET 5, at least here in Visual Studio, to be .NET Core, so this is the one you're going to select. Click the Next button. For the project name, I'm going to type WPF UI, and for the solution name, I'm going to type SOSCSRPG, and that matches up with what I had in the backup, the original code. It's SOSCSRPG for the solution, and then WPF UI for the UI project. If you named yours differently, you'll want to put in those different names here, because we're going to copy over the old files and it's good to have the names match. Click the Next. For your target framework, you want to pick .NET 5. You might see some of the .NET Core versions in there. Just make sure you're doing .NET 5. And click the Create button. And once Visual Studio has created the solution and the default project, right-click on the solution and say Add New Project. And this time we want to do C# class, because we're going to have the class library. And again, you want to make sure you're doing the class library project for .NET Standard or .NET Core. Click Next, and we'll call this one Engine, since that is what name I used for the project in my original code. Click Next to create it. Again, pick .NET 5. And now we can delete this class 1, this file we're not going to use. And in the WPF UI project, we want to right-click the dependencies, say Add Project Reference to the Engine project, and click OK. So now we have the basic shells, the empty shells for the UI project and for the Engine project. And we can close Visual Studio for the next step. So now we'll go to Windows Explorer, and we have our SOSCSRPG backup, the old code, and our new SOSCSRPG folder with the new projects. First thing I'm going to do is copy the docs folder. Just right-click on docs in the old one and paste it into the new solutions directory. Then we'll go into the Engines project, the Engines folder in the old one. I'm going to highlight everything and unselect bin, obj, properties, packages.config, and engine.cs project. So the bin and objects, those are going to get rebuilt in the new solution. We don't need them. Properties, we're not going to need these in the new one. And we definitely don't want to overwrite the project file, because this from the engine.csprog is from the old format and won't work in the new .NET 5 format. And we're going to re-add the packages, some new versions to work with .NET 5. So right-click on this, copy, and paste them into the new engines folder. Then we'll go into the WPF UI project, and again we will copy everything except for the bin, object, properties, and the CSproj file. So it's going to be all of our XAML files, and then our custom windows and custom converter classes. Copy these into the new directory, and we're going to replace the files. We want to replace the main window.xaml files. And then I'm going to click on SOSCSRPG, the new folder, right click and properties, and unclick the read only attribute. I think this might be something that's happening because I'm working in VMware, but we don't want these read only. So check yours. If it is read only, uncheck that and then click apply. Apply everything to the folders, the subfolders, and files. And now I'm going to create a new shortcut to the new version of the SOSCSRPG project. And we will open that up. And now we should see that we have all the files from the engine project and from the WPF UI project. But we still have to clean up a few things. First thing we need to do is add the NuGet packages back in. So I'm going to right click on the solution, manage NuGet packages for solution, and if you see we don't have any installed, click on the browse, and you want to find newtonsoft.json. If it's not here on the top of your list, you can just type it in the search. And we're going to install that to the engine project. Just install the latest stable version. And we need to install the dice rolling NuGet packages. So look for D20TEK. And you'll see a lot of different NuGet packages here. The ones we want are d20tech.common.standard. This is written in .NET Standard, so it can be used in .NET Framework, .NET Core, .NET 5. And we're going to add that to the engine project. And then we also need the d20tech.dicenotation.standard. Again, this is the .NET Standard version that will work with any framework or .NET Core, .NET 5. And we're going to install that to the engine project. Now let's close the NuGet. The next thing we'll have to do is for our game data and our images, we need to select them and change the copy to output directory to, we'll say, copy if newer. So this way when we build the solution, these files get copied along so we can actually play the game. And let's try building this. You should see rebuild all, 2 succeeded, 0 failed. If that doesn't happen, leave a message below the video or on the support page with the error message that you see, and I'll try to help you figure out what's happening there. But let's try playing the game. We'll start a new game. We'll name the character Bob. Okay, looks like we've got Bob. We've got inventory. We can move and we see the images. Looks good. If for some reason it's not working for you, like I said, leave a message and I'll try to help you figure out what's going on. But this should now be in .NET 5. Make sure you save your solution to GitHub or whatever you use to for your source control. But now we can actually start doing some things in .NET 5. And hopefully I'll get some more lessons out. I won't have a big long break. I've just been really burnt out for several months. I'm trying to figure out new things, different ways to do some things at work and at home to balance things out. So hopefully we will be able to continue on quicker than we have been.